What's fascinating, of course, right now is as the world seems to have all made their choice to stay behind, to remain behind, they've all decided on their green passport rather than their passport to heaven. The harpaxo, the snatching away of the bride to that place in the sky, firstly the clouds, and then to be with our Lord forevermore. As the bride is now in a place of readiness, we're beginning to see that the rapture is truly upon us. The generation, that's us, that saw a nation formed in a day, will be the ones caught up, raptured, taken out of here, just as in times of war, when ambassadors are pulled home before war breaks out. And this moment in time, the Nahal Oz, which is under attack by Hamas rockets, seems to indicate a triggering effect which has begun. There's still trials and tribulations happening even now, in fact more so now than at any other time in history. We are seeing a tremendous amount of mockery and scoffery of the saints, but also violence and aggression against God's people, God's children. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't gone away. What's happened, of course, is that we're told that we will be spared from the hour of trial that's to come upon the earth. We are not called to wrath, as Jesus Christ says. We basically are going to be rescued. Now, legally, from the precept of common law analysis or common law and maritime law, we know that world wars or war cannot start without ambassadors being pulled out of the way. Ambassadors, we are the appointed high priests of the kingdom, and we are the appointed kings here on earth while Jesus Christ is off in heaven building mansions for believers. It all sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, the very notion that we are to be spared, the other notion that our believing faith is in Jesus Christ, who is going to be building mansions, has been building mansions. The master carpenter of the universe is building mansions in heaven for us to stay at for our 7-year period in the sky. Our 7-year sojourn in heaven is almost ludicrous. It doesn't sound like it's particularly realistic or relevant in this world of 2022, where the world seems to be infatuated with evil and wickedness, and how far the human race can be pushed to states of depravity. Well, this is exactly what's going on right now. The rapture is coming, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to prove it to you as well. We know that we are that generation, the final generation that Jesus Christ spoke about, the generation that shall see a nation form in a day, that generation that saw Israel come to pass in one day, 14th of May 1948, that generation shall see all these things come to pass. All of the prophecies of the end times, including Daniel 9 and 27, shall come to pass for this generation. This generation that is the most wicked, as Jesus says, for an adulterous and wicked generation there shall be no other sign but the sign of the prophet Jonah. The truth is, the sign of Jonah is not the sign of the swallowing by the whale, but the actual death of Jonah and the resurrection, the consequential resurrection that came for Jonah after he died inside the belly of the whale. The same as Jesus Christ having died, and for that period of time in which he was dead, he was in the belly of the underworld and off to rescue the patriarchs and bring them out of Abraham's bosom into heaven for the first time. Up until then, there was no way, no means of escape, no actual place that had been set aside for the patriarchs. And the reason for that is because Satan must not know of God's plan. If there had been a place in heaven for the patriarchs, for the old saints, the ones that came before the saints, Satan would have known what was coming. Hasatan, the accuser of humanity, would have made provision to not allow the King of Glory to die. Had he known what was to come and what was to happen, and the influential impact that the death of Jesus Christ on the cross was to have upon the world, he would never have killed the King of Glory. and by the King of glory dying, Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness, the glory of that name. Sons would not have been raised to glory. Sons and daughters wouldn't have been raised to glory, which is exactly what's about to come upon the earth.